Bam, so here's the army that got me second at this RTT this weekend in Billings, Montana. Um, Against, I don't know, there's like, I can't remember, there's like 14 people. Anyway, I got second place here. Should have got first, but I ended up getting drawn. I got a bad draw, in my opinion. I've never played against CSM, or not CSM. Gene Stiller Colt, or Gene Stillers. I never played against them. I got them, and I just didn't know what to do really. So it was kind of like a big experiment, and I still pulled out 79 points there. And like a couple of tweaks in my deployment, and maybe now holding certain units in reserve, I would have probably won that one and probably won the whole thing. But then I went up against once again another Imperial Guard army, which I'm used to those guys at this point. This one was a little bit easier to take down, in my opinion. Actually, well, it was a pretty hard one. There was a little bit of indirect I had to deal with. And then Dark Angel's army against the same player I played in the last one, and was able to score pretty high. And again, my units are just like Marine killers in a sense. Even knights, I'm able to deal with them pretty easily, but not easily, but I mean deal with them effectively. So if you didn't see that, I'll turn this around. We'll go through how I ran these Custodes. We're gonna get back to Space Marines, but in Raven Guard and all that jazz. But right now there's too many people playing them. There's another three other Space Marine lists. One of them was Ultramarines. I think it was Vanguard, or maybe it was Gladius. I know the Dark Angels were Gladius. There's another Dark Angels. So it was, I didn't want to bring Space Marines. I didn't know that at the time, but after the first tournament, I kind of did. One of them was a very heavy, tanky version. So, I mean, I just have a list that seems like fun that I might play, and I miss playing the Raven Guard. But I will say this, having good melee is also fun too. So we'll see. I'm enjoying the Custodians, but I also miss playing my Raven Guard guys. And even if I have to play Ultra Raven Guard, whatever, we'll do it. But anyway, here we go. So here's what we had. We changed the list up, and I'm going to change it even more. So we took out our bikes. You got them sitting over there. We didn't play with them at all. We have our solo grav tank, which he did pretty good. He didn't really, like they always say, you need pretty much two. But I mean, he did all right. If you play with him, knowing his limitations and knowing what he can do, and anticipating certain probabilities, I mean, it worked out pretty good, especially also as a deterrent in itself. My Witch Seekers, who 2 of the 3 games, they just died from indirect fire right off the bat. So that kind of sucked, and I didn't know how to really deploy them very well against the Gene Stillers. Evisar Assassin, he's pretty cool and did some work, but I ended up trading this 120 point unit for a few points a couple of times. It just wasn't that great. For an extra 10 points, which I can get somewhere, I can throw like a couple more of these dudes, Aloris, like 2 more in a different unit, or I can go with a different assassin. Like the Cluxus has at least some speciality, or the Cladius for 100 instead of that. Shoot, well, I don't know. He's all right, but I'd rather have 2 Aloris Terminators together than just him. But I was using him to score a few different points. But anyway, we might, split these points up, this 120 points, and put another maybe unit of these girls here, and then do something, I don't know, we might add somebody here. We'll figure it out, but I don't know. It's kind of felt like a waste of 120 points, to be totally honest. I felt like I was trading out this 120 points for nothing. And besides the time I ran him up the board, but then when I ran him up the board, I felt this charge, and then he ended up getting, well, he smoked their character, I guess, the Gene Stiller Colt character. But it wasn't like after that he was pretty much done, toast. He just sat there. But oh well. We got Trajan with 4 brick of guard, which I was rapid ingressing him in, and then you give him the re-rolls and the wounds, and then just letting him be a beast in the field. And if you lose out, some guardsmen or whatever, no big deal. You still have Trajan over there. It looks like kicking butt. Of course, you have your blade champs here, my Shadow Keepers, blade champ with the Panoptics were spec because I had like extra 5 points or whatever, or extra points. So 4 brick of Wardens, Blade Guard Champ as well here with my freak. I just not Shadow Keeper, whatever the white ones are. I can't remember anymore. My brain shot after working all day today. But anyway, he had whatever that mantle one that gives him extra 2 wounds. 4 brick of Custodian Guards as well, and sometimes I deploy these 2 on the boards because they do have advance and charge, and just has some mid-board threat. And not to say that you can't deep strike them, but for the most part, I did alternate. One game I attached Trajan to a guard or a warden unit, and put the blade champ over here, and it ended up killing all these dudes and leave the blade champs. But I experimented with that, and I see the value in either one with Trajan. But anyway, 2 4 brick of Wardens in the list was key. This also was a very good unit. It's 5 brick of Alora's Terminators. When I played against Gene Stellar Colt, I should have kept them on the board, but instead I rapid them in somewhere. But having them in the mid-board presence could have deterred a lot of his horde, whatever pieces of his army. And I had 2. These are actually 2 separate units, so I got these Vinatari and then another 3 Vinatari. And of course, you just you rapid them, you use them to reinforce, you use them to score points, you use them to put them to uncomfortable positions in the board where your enemy's not expecting you to be, and doing and taking out units, taking out tanks, taking out small bricks. I mean, with the Dark Angels victory that I had, I mean, they played key role in being able to take some things. On the Imperial Guard one, they also held. I ended up having to reinforce my backfield. He was just scoring so many points back there. He took fixed, and I he saved me a few points there, or these guys saved me a few points by taking out some of his scoring units. But it was just like, you can use them as utility pieces, putting these units where they need to be, and doing it all in like one turn, like being able to rapid ingress them, and then at rapid ingress another unit, 3 units. It's pretty killer. It's really effective. Anyway, that's the list. Here's a little bit of my Space Marines just for fun. Anyway, that was a list. We got second and won a little bit of store credit, and we're gonna see what we can do with that, or try to maybe sell them. I gotta fix my grav tank, maybe paint these guys up a little bit better. But it was a fun 3 games. I felt very comfortable with the army now, where there wasn't as much of a time crunch outside of playing a guard, Imperial Guard player who just he has a lot of units, and so did the Gene Stellar Colts, but he was a little more adept at the game. So being able to finish a game out and not have on a time crunch, and understanding your units, knowing what they do, having cohesive strategy, basically we talked about the combined arms dilemma, where we're putting these opponents into, having a long range threat like the Gladius Grav tank in there, supporting your ground your mid-board assault by projecting power to the opposite end of the table through good firing lanes, having those rapid ingress that maneuver elements that come in and support your main element, which my main element was my Terminators, or at times a Warden brick going up the battlefield in order to take the center objective, or whatever objective that I really needed. Because one of the missions, you can hold the home and then hold hold one more. So the missions elude me at this moment. But anyway, being able to do that, and then whenever I get to certain missions, having other elements are able to support each other in order to score. So I mean, I think I scored more points ever. I scored a 79, an 88, and a 95. So as long as I'm scoring above 80, I'm happy. Being able to do that. I'm not so much concerned with just killing things as I was in the past, but in this game, and these games are really focused on the scoring, taking out the units that I needed to take out. There was only a couple times where I was like, oh, I need to take this unit out. Even before I get the card, they would give me points, and that's because it was too much of a threat, right? Other than that, very methodical about the targets that I picked, very methodical about how I put my units on the board, like putting my sisters were in my FSR assassin in complementary positions on my deployment zone, so that I could score like containment or secure no man's land on first turn really quickly. doing things like that really helped out. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I am putting together my, hopefully, a Space Marine list of some sort to take to the next one if we can. If not, we'll just do these Custodes and maybe, kind of fix that list completely, because I believe I'll be playing Custodes for the Challenger Cup next year, so we're going to have to, stay abreast on them. But I do miss the Space Marines and my Cave and Shrike character, but we might be taking Ultra Ravens. But I don't know. I'm coming up with stuff. I'm building lists. I'm tweaking things, and we're doing all this kind of stuff. And anyway, please like, subscribe, help me grow this thing, this channel, and then we'll see where we can go from there. Anyway, peace.